This video was made with the support of our fantastic patrons. You guys truly are amazing. Hello everyone and welcome to another EDH gameplay video brought to you by Affinity for Commander. My name's Martin.
And my name is Alex.
This week's episode has some old school heroes and villains, as well as a brand new commander from Core Set 2020. If you want to see the deck list used in this video, you can do so via the links in the description, with any purchases made through these links directly contributing to the channel. Also, if you haven't already done so, it would mean a great deal to us if you hit that subscribe button. Now that that's out of the way, let's take a look at those opening hands.
My commander is Urza, Lord High Artificer. My opening hand contains Sapphire Medallion, Rhystic Study, Thopter Spy Network, Fact or Fiction, and 2 islands.
My commander is Feldon of the Third Path. I keep a hand containing Combustible Gearhulk, Tybalt the Fiend-Blooded, Mind Stone, Worn Power Stone, and 3 mountains.
Tom is playing his Yawgmoth Thran Physician deck. His opening hand is made up of Zulaport Cutthroat, Lightning Greaves, and 4 swamps.
And finally, Phil's commander is Kykar, Wind's Fury. His starting hand consists of Mirror Entity, Celestial Crusader, Cathar's Crusade, Expansion Explosion, Scalding Tarn, Temple of Triumph, and Seachrome Coast.
Phil wins the die roll and plays Temple of Triumph. He keeps the top card of his library where it is and passes to Martin.
I play a mountain and end my turn.
Tom plays a swamp and then passes the turn.
Alex plays an island and passes to Phil.
Phil plays Seachrome Coast and then casts Preordain. He scries both cards to the bottom of his library, draws a card, and passes the turn.
I play a mountain and then cast Tybalt, the Fiend-Blooded. Everybody trembles at the sight of my glorious Planeswalker, and I use his +1 ability, drawing and discarding a card at random. I then end my turn.
Tom plays a swamp and then casts Lightning Greaves. He then passes to me.
Alex plays an island and then casts Sapphire Medallion. He then passes the turn.
Phil casts Boros Signet, and then plays Boros Garrison, returning Seachrome Coast to his hand. Phil then ends his turn.
I play a mountain and then cast Tormenting Voice, discarding Void Winnower. I draw 2 cards and then activate Tybalt's +1 ability, drawing and discarding a card at random. I then pass to Tom.
Tom plays a swamp and then casts Zulaport Cutthroat. He equips his shoes to the rogue and then moves to combat, attacking me for 1 damage. Tom then passes the turn.
Alex casts Rhystic Study and then ends his turn, missing his land drop. Oh dear.
Phil replays Seachrome Coasts and then casts his commander, Kykar, Wind's Fury. He pays 1 extra to prevent me from drawing from Rhystic Study and then passes to Martin.
I play a mountain and then cast Mind Stone, paying the Rhystic Study tax. Next I activate Tybalt's +1 ability, drawing and randomly discarding, and pass the turn.
Tom plays a swamp and then casts Hangerback Walker, who enters with 2 +1/+1 counters. I draw a card from my study, and Tom moves his Greaves over to his Walker before moving to combat. He attacks Tybalt with his robot, dealing him 2 damage, and then ends his turn.
Alex casts Fabricate, using the tutor to search his library for Seat of the Synod. Desperate times call for desperate measures. Alex then plays the land and passes to Phil.
Phil plays Scalding Tarn and then moves to combat. He attacks me with his commander, dealing me 3 damage, and then passes the turn.
I use Tybalt's +1 ability, drawing and randomly discarding a card. Next I cast my commander, Feldon of the Third Path, paying 1 extra for Rhystic Study. I then end my turn.
Tom casts his commander, Yawgmoth Thran Physician, and I draw a card from Rhystic Study. He then moves his Greaves over to his commander and moves to combat, where he attacks Tybalt with Yawgmoth. Martin is unable to block given that Yawgmoth has protection from humans, and Tybalt takes 2 damage. Tom then passes to me.
Alex plays an island and then casts Mind Stone. He then casts Thopter Spy Network and passes the turn. Phil responds by cycling Irrigated Farmland and then sacrifices his fetch land, paying 1 life to put an island into play. Not yet finished, he casts Visions of Beyond, paying the 1 for Rhystic Study. Phil then creates a 1/1 spirit with flying, discards a card and moves to his turn.
Phil plays Steam Vents, paying 2 life to have it enter untapped. He then casts Martyr's Bond, paying the Rhystic Study tax, and creating another spirit token. Moving to combat, Phil attacks me with Kykar, dealing me 3 damage. He then ends his turn.
I once again use Tybalt's +1 ability, drawing and discarding a card at random. I then play a mountain and cast Conduit of Ruin, allowing Alex to draw from Mystic Study. I search my library for Emrakul, the Promised End, which I place on top of my deck before passing to Tom.
Tom plays a swamp and then casts Smothering Abomination, paying 1 extra for Mystic Study. He then passes the turn.
Alex makes a 1/1 Thopter with flying in his upkeep thanks to Thopter's Spy Network, and then casts Preordain. He keeps 1 card on top of his library, puts the other on the bottom and draws a card. Alex then plays the island that he just drew and casts Padim, Consul of Innovation, giving all of his artifacts hexproof. Still not finished, Alex casts Riddlesmith and then ends his turn.
Phil moves straight to combat, attacking me with his commander. I take 3 damage and then Phil passes to Martin.
I draw the Emrakul on top of my library, which I am 1 mana short of being able to cast. Sad times. I use Tybalt's +1 ability, drawing and randomly discarding a card, and then use Feldon's ability, creating a robotic copy of the Void Winnower in my graveyard. Moving to combat, I attack Tom with the Robo Eldrazi, which he is unable to block given that all of his creatures have even CMC. Tom pays a life to activate Yawgmoth's ability, sacrificing his Hangerback Walker to draw a card. He then immediately gains that life back of Zulaport Cutthroat, everybody else loses a life, and Tom creates 2 Thopters. He then draws an additional card from Smothering Abomination, puts a -1/-1 counter on Feldon, and repeats this process by sacrificing a Thopter. Tom then sacrifices his final Thopter, killing Feldon with -1/-1 counters, and takes 11 damage from Void Winnower. That'll teach him to attack Tybalt. Next I pass the turn, sacrificing my Eldrazi clone in my end step.
Tom sacrifices Smothering Abomination to its own ability in his upkeep, drawing a card. He gains a life from his Cutthroat, everyone else loses a life, and Tom then plays a swamp. Next he casts Contamination, which is a much harsher version of Blood Moon, and pays 1 for the Mystic Study tax. Tom then casts Butcher Ghoul, not paying the 1, and I draw a card. He then ends his turn.
Alex draws an additional card thanks to Padim's ability, and makes another Thopter from his Spy Network trigger. He then plays an island, or should that be a swamp, and then casts Gilded Lotus, giving him access to blue mana once again. Moving to combat, Alex attacks Tom with a Thopter, dealing him 1 damage and drawing a card from Thopter's Spy Network. In his second main phase, Alex casts his commander, the Big Daddy, Urza, Lord High Artificer. He makes a construct token which gets +7/+7 thanks to Alex's assortment of artifacts, and Alex then passes to Phil.
In Phil's turn, Martin asks if Phil can kill Tybalt so that he can cast Emrakul in his next turn, taking control of Tom's turn, and sacrifice Contamination to its own trigger. Phil agrees to this and attacks Tybalt with Kykar and 2 of his spirits, lowering his loyalty to 0. In his second main phase, Phil casts Vandal Blast Overloaded, destroying Martin's Mind Stone, Tom's Lightning Grooves, and most of my board. He then makes a spirit and passes the turn.
I play a mountain and then cast Emrakul, the Promised End. I target Tom with the Flying Spaghetti Monster's ability, and Alex draws a card from his Mystic Study. I then move to Tom's turn.
Tom, or rather Martin, sacrifices Contamination in Tom's upkeep, and then sacrifices Zulaport Cutthroat to Yawgmoth's ability. Tom gains life back that he lost and everyone else loses a life, and Martin puts a -1/-1 counter on Urza. Tom then draws a card, and Martin uses Yawgmoth's ability twice, paying 2 life and sacrificing Butcher Ghoul twice thanks to Undying. Martin puts a -1/-1 counter on Padim and Kykar. Tom draws 2 cards, and Martin uses Yawgmoth's Proliferate ability 3 times. He discards Animate Dead, Craft the Unredeemed, and Dread Return, upsetting Tom greatly, and then moves to combat. Martin attacks himself with Yawgmoth, blocking the position with Emrakul, and chooses to put him in Tom's graveyard rather than the command zone. Having completely decimated Tom's board and game plan, Martin ends the turn.
Tom plays a swamp and then casts Geralf's Messenger, targeting me with his ability. I lose 2 life, Alex draws from his study, and Tom casts Skullclamp. Alex draws once more, and Tom passes to Alex.
I play Temple of the False God, and then cast Vidalcan Archmage. Next I cast Fountain of Youth, drawing a card from my Archmage, followed by Tormund's Crypt. I draw once more, cast Ethereum Sculptor, and draw another card. I then finally decide to use Riddlesmith's ability, drawing and discarding a card, and cast Training Grounds. Finally out of mana, I pass the turn.
Phil plays Moorland Haunt and then casts Return to Dust, exiling Alex's Rhystic Study and Training Grounds. He then ends his turn.
Martin plays a Mountain and then casts Combustible Gearhulk. He targets me with the trigger and I choose for him to mill 3 cards rather than draw them. Martin mills Eldrazi Temple, Unstable Obelisk and Ingot Chewer, dealing me 8 damage and then moves to combat. He attacks me with Emrakul, dealing me 13 damage, and then passes to Tom.
Tom plays a Swamp and then casts Liliana, Heretical Healer. He then equips Skullclamp to his Messenger and passes the turn.
I make a Thopter in my upkeep, play an island, and end my turn.
Phil recasts his Commander and then passes to me.
Martin plays a Mountain and then casts a Duplicant, exiles Kykar and moves to combat, where he attacks Phil with all of his creatures that are able to do so. Phil blocks the Gearhulk and Conduit with a Spirit each and takes 13 damage from Emrakul. Everyone then sacrifices 2 creatures as a result of Martyr's Bond, and Tom draws 2 cards from Skullclamp. Geralf's Messenger then returns to play, causing Martin to lose 2 life, and Liliana to transform into Liliana Defiant Necromancer. Martin then passes to Tom.
Tom plays a Swamp and then equips his Shoes to his Zombie. Next he uses Liliana's +2 ability, making everybody discard a card, and then passes the turn. Alex responds by gaining a life with Fountain of Youth, and then casts Fact or Fiction. Phil responds by casting Expansion, gaining a Fact or Fiction of his own. He reveals Sacred Foundry, Ancestral Visions, Dig Through Time, Soul Ring, and Banefire, allowing Tom to choose the piles. Phil takes everything other than Banefire, and Alex's original version of the spell then resolves. He reveals Field of Ruin, Commander's Sphere, Welding Jar, Lightning Greaves, and an island, which Tom places in a single pile for Alex to take. Sufficiently appeased, Alex proceeds to his turn.
I make a Thopter in my upkeep and then play an island. Moving to combat, I attack Martin with Ethereum Sculptor, dealing him 1 damage and drawing a card from Thopter Spy Network. In my post-combat main phase, I cast Commander's Sphere, followed by Lightning Greaves, drawing a card from each of them thanks to Feldon Archmage. Still not finished, I cast a Welding Jar, drawing a card, and equip my Greaves to my Archmage. I then discard down to 7 and end my turn.
Phil casts Soul Ring, and then casts Apex of Power. Terrified by the idea of this, Alex counters the spell with Counterspell. Unable to do anything else, Phil passes to me.
Martin casts Meteor Golem, destroying my Thopter with its ETB. He then moves to combat, attacking me with his Gearhulk and Phil with Emrakul. Tom responds to this by casting Murder, destroying Combustible Gearhulk. Guess he isn't over that time Martin stole his turn and wrecked his board state. Phil blocks the Emrakul with a Spirit, taking 12 damage, and everybody else sacrifices a creature to Martyr's Bond. Tom draws 2 cards from Skullclamp, and Martin passes the turn.
Tom plays a Swamp and uses Liliana's -X ability, where X is 2. He returns Butcher Ghoul to the battlefield, attaches Skullclamp to the zombie, and draws 2 cards, returning the ghoul to play with his Undying ability. Next, Tom casts Grave Titan, creating 2 2/2 zombies. He then equips Skullclamp to his Titan and ends his turn, to which Alex responds by gaining a life with his Fountain before moving to his turn.
I make a Thopter in my upkeep, play an island, and equip my Greaves to said Thopter. Moving to combat, I attack Martin with my Thopter, dealing him 1 damage, and draw a card from my Spy Network. In my second main phase, I re-equip Lightning Greaves to my Feldon Archmage and cast Sigh, Master Thopterist. Next, I cast Spellseeker, searching my library for Muddle the Mixture, and putting it into my hand. I then pass to Phil.
Phil casts Mirror Entity, telling me that he'll use its ability to make it to 0/0 if I attack him. This would kill it and force me to sacrifice Emrakul as a result of Martyr's Bond, which I would really rather not have to do. Phil then passes to me.
Martin moves straight to combat, attacking me with his Eldrazi Titan. I respond by casting Ether Eyes, returning Emrakul to Martin's hand, and then use Tormund's Crypt to exile his graveyard. There'll be no more Lovecraftian horrors ruining our civilized game today, thank you very much. Martin then moves to his second main phase where he casts Trading Post before ending his turn.
Tom plays Westvale Abbey and then uses Liliana's -X ability where X is 3. He returns Geralf's Messenger to play, having me lose 2 life, and then moves to combat. Tom sends all of his creatures at me, making 2 more zombies, and I pay a life to my trading post to make a 0/1 goat token. I then block the Grave Titan with my goat, taking 6 damage, and Tom proceeds to his post-combat main phase. He casts Exsanguinate, where X is 9. Phil responds by casting Dig Through Time, creating a spirit, and then activates Mirror Entity's ability, where X is 0. Everyone is forced to sacrifice 2 creatures, Phil and Alex are knocked out of the game, I lose 9 life and Tom gains 27. Tom then passes to me.
Martin plays Gaia Reach Sanitarium, and then casts Molten Primordial. He gains control of Grave Titan and moves to combat, attacking Tom with his own giant. Martin creates 2 2/2 zombies, and Tom declares no blocks, taking 7. In his second main phase, Martin attempts to sacrifice Grave Titan to Trading Post, but realises he doesn't have any targets in his graveyard to do so. Oh dear. He then passes the turn, returning Grave Titan to its rightful owner.
Tom plays a Swamp and then casts Slaughter Pact, destroying my Primordial. He then casts Corpse Dance, returning Liliana, Defiant Necromancer to play, and then moves to combat. Tom attacks me with all of his creatures, and I am unable to prevent lethal damage, leaving Tom as the victor. Well, that's it for another game. We hope that you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, it really helps us out. And if you really want to support the channel, check out our Patreon and Twitter pages, links are in the description. We'll see you next time.